You had your blood draw this morning. The nurse said the result gonna be coming back soon. But hours later, nothing. And then someone walks in, tell you, we need to draw your blood again. At that moment, most people think, did something went wrong or did someone mess it up? Well, hi, I'm a certified medical laboratory scientist, and today I'm going to tell you what's actually going on behind the scenes and why delays and redraws are often there to protect you instead of inconvenience you. So most people imagine this. The blood goes in your tube, and the tube goes onto the machine, and result came out. But in reality, your sample goes through multiple steps. First, it is collected, and then it's labeled and sent to laboratory. Once it arrives, we verify your identity. This step is critical. And then the sample is prepared. Some tubes need to be clotted before they can be put onto a centrifuge to separate the component for testing. And after that, the sample goes onto the analyzer. But even then, we're not quite done yet. Every result goes through a quality check before they release to your doctor. So even a simple blood test, it is actually a multi-step process with safety checks built in every single step. Now let's talk about the delays, because from a patient's perspective, waiting is frustrating. And here are some common reasons. First of all, high volume. Hospital, especially if you are sitting in a crowded ER, your specimen gonna be one of the hundreds of the tests of them, and there are gonna be some delays. We're gonna have to process them one by one. And by the way, if you didn't know, all the ER departments send us tests will be labeled as stat. When everybody's a stat, nobody's a stat. Number two, some tests are just taking longer. It's not all tests are equal. If you're just taking a simple test like electrolytes, things can be done in a few minutes. However, let me just put a very simple example. First, testing for HCG, one of the tests you will receive during a pregnancy. That test itself takes a half hour to get a result if you don't need any dilutions. So imagine that if you're in a relatively later term of your pregnancy, it's the test itself and the dilutions, you are expecting a couple hours before you're getting a result. Now the third reason, as I mentioned before, some test tubes need to be clotted before they can be centrifuged and put on testing. And this step by itself can add up to 30 minutes. Number four, quality controls. Just like your car needs maintenance on a routine basis, our analyzers need that too. Sometimes we need to stop the analyzers in order to clean them and doing some maintenance checks. And sometimes we are running the quality controls to make sure all the testings are falling to the range as they're supposed to be. And sometimes we are troubleshooting them. Yeah. If your sample unfortunately arrives right on the spot, we'll make you wait a few minutes to make sure we're not giving you a potentially wrong answer. Here comes the fifth reason for your delays, result verification. If a number looks very unusual, if it doesn't match your clinical profile, we are not going to release it. So we will start an investigation. We may rerun the test. We may check for the interference. We may also call your care team. And the extra time, that's the lab choosing accuracy over speed. Now let's talk about the parts that everyone hates. Why do I need another blood draw? This is one of the most misunderstood parts of healthcare. And most of the time, it is not because someone made a mistake. Here are some real reasons. First, hemolysis. This is the most common reason when the lab decides to call a redraw. And why? Well, some electrolytes, for example, potassium, can appear dangerously high if your specimen is hemolyzed badly, and you don't want to receive treatment based on that. It is very dangerous. Number two, not enough sample. Every test needs a minimal volume. Some tests may only require a few drops of blood, but some other tests could take up the whole tube of. Number three, clotted sample, when it shouldn't be. Let me give you an example. If you ever been drawn a purple tube that is running for a CBC or CBC differential, and it tells you how many different types of blood cells you have in certain volume. And if it's clotted, what happens is we won't be able to read where is your platelets. And if you're a perfectly healthy person and we tell you you have no platelets, that's not going to be good. Number four, confirming an unexpected result. Like I mentioned in the delays before, Sometimes we run into an investigation if we have did everything we can, and there's still something can't be explained. The floor and the laboratory will make a decision together to make the redraw. That will take us to the fifth reason of your redraw, contamination. This is the time when somebody actually making a mistake. So when a sample is diluted with IV fluid or collected incorrectly for some reason, the result will be very misleading and can't be explained on the chart. This will absolutely lead for a redraw. In the lab, a lab tech's job isn't just to run the test. It is also to make sure the numbers we report are trustworthy, because those numbers guide real decisions, your medications, your diagnosis, if you need to be admitted to the hospital, or some emergency life-saving treatment. If a result is wrong, everything built on top of it could be wrong too. So when we delay or when we're asking for another sample, it's usually because we are trying to protect the accuracy of your care. We have been talking about a lot. I know getting poked again is frustrating and waiting for the result can be stressful. But most of the time, there are signs that the system is working carefully. Behind the scenes, there's a team making sure your results are as accurate as possible before they ever reach your doctor. If you ever wondered what happens to your blood after it leaves your arm, or why doctors order so many tests, please leave me a comment. I'll be making more videos breaking down the science behind the hospital lab. Thank you for watching. If you liked my video, please thumbs up. Thank you and see you next time. Bye.